Nicky, we are back, son, and you know what that means. Time for a little bit more Tastylive. Before we introduce him, and I know he's on the screen already, you bought back about half your Nasdaq futures you sold because you couldn't get filled on your Nasdaq spread at the price you wanted to.
Call spread was a little bit wide.
So you sold those Nasdaq futures about 60 handles higher, and we just bought them back.
Yeah.
So you just put the spread on. Still risk, obviously. We just
scalped it. Scalped
the spread for a decent price.
100 points or so.
TP,
we're loaded half up.
Welcome to the show, my friend.
Good. You guys bring up a really interesting point because, so like a couple of weeks ago, I bought a put spread in McDonald's just because why not, right?
Yes.
And it's up a little bit of money. That's not the point. I'm trying to sell it this morning. Can't get it done. And it's a one lot. Okay, that's what I trade, right? In stuff like McDonald's.
Yeah.
And the point is, you know, I do a lot of trading like you guys do. I can't really afford to worry about getting a fill on a McDonald's put spread. That's the problem. I want to get out of the stupid thing. But Nicky, to your point about not getting out of the Nasdaq because the markets are wide, try trading McDonald's, right? And so my point is that's why 90% of my trading is done in a relatively small number of symbols, like 10 or 15, because the markets are tight and reliable. The executions are reliable. So I don't have to think about, should I cancel and replace? I get a price discovery, that kind of crap. Hey, I do it. Okay.
Right.
But it slows me down, just like it slows you guys down. It's not, that's why, yes, if you have to trade something that has less than ideal liquidity, that's fine. You know, you can speculate on it, do it small, because you may not be able to get out of it quickly.
And there's nothing worse than putting on a trade like that McDonald's trade, and you're totally right, and you timed it perfectly, and you know that you should be making money on that trade, but you can't get out. And you give up, instead of the $1 that you're supposed to be making, you get out and you make 80 cents, and you're like, shoot, I gave that 20 cents away because you just can't, the markets aren't liquid enough. It stinks. It's one of the worst feelings.
Right. And Nick, so that 20 cents is a career. Okay.
You're right about that.
It is.
You do it 1,000 times.
Right.
And
Sure.
it's a big number.
And I'm so, it's like, Nick, you're getting there, but Tony and I have been doing this for a long time, and those 20 cents start to add up over time. And that's how Tony makes money. That's how I make money. I don't hit like, I made $5 on 1,000 shares of stock. No, I don't do that. No retail trader does that.
Right.
You hit singles. So if I can fight for those 20 cents, that's a career. Because if I can keep doing that over and over, Nick, then that's real live money.
For sure.
Great point, TP.
And so that's why it's we harp on liquidity. That's why. Because I don't care what you think you know about a stock. I mean,
can't get out. It doesn't matter.
Maybe you're the chief technology person. Maybe you're the chief financial officer and have super inside information. But unless you are, you're guessing just like the rest of us. There's no stock that's so great, no opportunity so wonderful that it's worth sacrificing liquidity.
For sure. I like it.
No truer words have been said, TP. Good job out of you.
Hey, I like to be helpful when I can.
You've been very helpful. You're going to be helpful with some more on some volatility index stuff. What do you got going on here?
So here's, if you go to, I think it should be up now. If you go to the News and Insights page, there should be the cherry picks posted up there. By the way, for everybody watching at home, if you have not been getting the cherry bombs or cherry picks, be patient. We are working through the process of switching over to different email distribution systems. And there's technology that's involved that I don't really understand. And they promised me that, yes, don't worry, in the next week or so, 2 weeks, we'll be back to getting everybody their cherry bombs, cherry picks in a timely fashion.
Yes.
So hang tight. I appreciate your patience. Thank you very much.
Yes.
On to the VIX. All right, Nick, you're a smart guy. You figured this stuff out pretty quickly. Okay, I remember we were starting out, and I thought, I'm gonna throw a little VIX action at Nick here, and he's gonna be blown away. You weren't blown away. You picked it up very quickly. Unfortunately, there are a lot of, and I'm not pointing any. Tony understands this stuff. There are a lot of very experienced traders. A lot of people have been doing this for a while. We know some of them who say, "Oh, the VIX is complicated. The VIX is weird. The VIX, and its derivative. It's not really a friendly product." To which I say, please, okay.
Yes.
The reason is that they don't understand the mechanics of the product. And when you understand the mechanics, when you look at the mechanics, it's no more complicated than trading McDonald's. Okay. So today I want to talk about the drag in the VXX.
Okay.
Because that is a derivative of a derivative of a derivative. If you think, guys, help me count here. You have the VIX, which is derived from the SPX option prices. So that's one. Okay. Then you have the VIX futures, which are kind of related to the VIX, but trade their own markets. Mm-hmm. And off of that, then I guess it's three. Then you have the VXX.
Yeah.
So the VXX is an equity product. Okay. Because it's an ETF, exchange traded fund. And because it's an exchange traded fund, it's treated as an equity, not an index or a future. The trick, though, as you guys know, is that the VXX is a portfolio of VIX futures. The front month future, in this case March, and the next month, in this case April. Okay. But what happens is that over time, if you look at this chart, this is going back to like 5 years, going back to 2021. And you just see the blue line, the VIX go blah, 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 up and down, oscillating up and down, moving around, no problem. But the VXX line has this steady drag down. Mm-hmm. Okay. We see it. It is a phenomenon. I want to show people why this is happening and how you may want to use it to place your volatility trades. Okay. So the issue here isn't one of correlation. You look at this, Nick, and you say, yeah, all right, well, with that sort of dispersion between them, surely they must be uncorrelated, right? Just like you see two, semiconductors versus software. Yeah. They're going in completely different directions, right? But as we go to the next slide, that's not really the case. So here it's the correlation between going back 12 months. Why 12 months? Why not 12 months? Because this works over time. There's nothing special about what's happening to the VXX right now and the VIX and thing. That's not the point. So over the past 12 months, the correlation is 92%. So it's very high. So what's happening is that day to day, when the VIX goes up, the spot VIX goes up, the VXX tends to go up also. That's all correlation says. It doesn't talk about magnitude. Yep. Doesn't say, well, the VIX was up 10%, the VXX should be up 10%. No, that's not what it is. The correlation just says VIX up, VXX up, good. VX up or VIX up, VXX down, bad. Okay, that's negative correlation. So 92% doesn't talk about magnitude. And magnitude is what this is all about. Because, as I say, when you're talking about the VIX and its suite of products, VIX futures, VIX options, VXX, when the market crashes, and we saw this recently with the delightful volatility that we saw in the market, the VIX cash, the front month stuff goes up first and fastest. Mm-hmm. Okay, so what we saw when the S&Ps are selling off, and we say, oh, we look at the VIX spikes higher. Goes up however many percent, goes up to 30 or whatever it was, mm-hmm. right? The first month VIX future, the March VIX future went up, but not as much. The second month, the April VIX future went up, but not as much as the March. And in turn, the VXX went up a blend of the two. Because here's what's happening. Let's go to the next slide. And this is kind of explains a lot of what's happening. The VXX is a portfolio of VIX futures. It is right now. If you just pulled the cover off and looked at the VXX position right now, you'd have March futures, you'd have April futures. A mix. I don't know what the percentages are today, but I tell you, it's a mix.
Right, because it's always changing, right? Because they're always rebalancing.
Always changing, Tony.
Right.
Always changing, but by a very specific amount.
Yeah.
Okay.
It used to actually be higher. So a lot of these, they started at like 80-20. And the big problem was that if you remember in like 2018, when we had the VIX explosion, when we had that move from like VIX going from like 10 to 20 in the overnight session, and it was really like, which is nothing compared to what volatility we're seeing right now in terms of like the VIX number. But all the ETNs that like this, like the TVIX, XIV, they all exploded. They were all short volatility, but it was short 80% front volatility, which went from like 10 to 20. And the back volatility basically didn't move. And so when these were moving at a magnitude of 2x volatility, and you get 100% move in volatility or 50% move in volatility, they basically go to zero. And now the weighting, they've moved the weighting and the multiplier on a lot of these. Like UVXY used to be 3. I think it's 2x now. VXX is 1x, I believe.
Yeah, the issue with those UVXYs and things like that is because they're leveraged, right? They're 2x or whatever it is. And to do that, they need to tweak the portfolio.
Yes.
And you get, just like you're saying, Nick, you get some wacky performance out of them. And it's like, wait a second, I'm bullish on the VIX and it's going up, but not as much as I thought it would, or it's going down. What is this?
Yes.
Okay. And that's where the mechanics come in. Just about everything can be broken down to the mechanics. The VXX is actually one of the simplest of that group of ETNs, ETFs, whatever they are, right? Every time, when the future expires, when the VIX futures expire, okay, in March it's going to be coming up. When the March future expires, on the Monday or the trading day after it expires, the VXX portfolio will be 100% invested in April futures. Okay? 100%. The next day, and Tony, this is to your point, the next day, it sells about 4.5% of its April futures and buys 4.5% worth of May futures. Next day, sells 4.5% of its portfolio in April futures, buys another 4.5% in May. So that by the time the April expires and the May becomes the front month, it's 100% in May.